So the last thing I want to show you, and just as a kind of a reminder run through here, we were showing that we can pull a P&L in QuickBooks several different ways with the same data to be able to meet the different audiences that you might want to see. For example, we have one here that goes by class, okay, and we have one here that goes one here that goes by class, one that goes by department, which we're using class for grants and we're using departments for fundraising events. But I wanted to show that there's actually still yet a third way to be classifying data out here, because I have run into some situations with some clients who actually want to see data split up yet a distinctive third way, and they're already using, say, the departments or locations function here. They're using that to have people manage specific departments, so we can't use that one. They're using classes to manage the for the IRS pieces for the different program functions and for high level grants, but then they still have smaller level grants that don't fit into that structure. So for that, what we did for those folks is we added then custom fields for our last set of uh, grants here. And what this does is this allows you to, we'll call it grant type, okay? And we're going to do a drop down list, and we're going to go grant. So just, I better slow down there. Huh? So I went to settings and then custom fields, and then add custom field, and then we'll go grant type. And we're going to do a drop down list because we want a specific list for the grants. We don't want them to just choose anything that doesn't exist. Grant A, grant B, and let's add a couple. Grant C, grant D. Now, what these are going to, and we're going to do this at the transaction level. We could put it on there. If we use those, we may not use all this stuff, you know. We definitely are going to use expense, but it doesn't hurt to just add it to all of them. Why not? Okay. So now what I've done is I've added this custom field for the grant type to all these different areas. So if I go back to my report, I'm going to go to standard reports. I'm going to go ahead and pull my profit and loss. Then we're going to go last 6 months. Okay. So now this particular grantor needs to have a report of how much money we spent, and we might also want to know how much they sent us in that period of time. And since we can't get it through class, since we've already used those, we can't get it through department, since we've already used those for the fundraising. And we have different audiences for each of these, of course, right? So our last audience is actually going to be just that grantor. So we're going to need to just, let's pull it. Well, you know, we already used these. We won't use this one, actually. Let's find another one here. Here's one. Fountains and garden lighting, because of course this is a landscape company. Okay, so in here, now you can see we have grant type associated with this. And we can say that all of these uh, things came into grant B. Okay, we're going to save that. Actually, while we're here, you know, let's put these in a program too. These are grant B, which is the kids program. And this is a program where we get paid money to do a kids program, and the grant supplements the amount of money that we receive. So the customers actually sent us a little bit of money for this one, but it's not enough to do the whole program, which is why we're receiving grant funding. But the grantors want to know how much we receive as well. So we're going to save the transaction, close it out here. So for this one, we have our programs here, but now we've just added this custom field for the grant because the grantor wants particular reports on absolutely every transaction that made it to their grant. Okay, what we're going to do for that is we're going to have to go back to our reporting module. Okay, back into standard reports here. And then we need to go to transaction detail by account. Now, when we do custom fields, we're not able to pull what would be a true P&L, but we can get a report that would be good enough for the grantor to be happy. So we've got all the transactions here, and now if we click this customize button, we could choose, if we scroll all the way down to this list, we'll find right there our grant is in here, see? And we could choose which grant we want. And I could say, give me grant B, right? And that wasn't the one I chose because I can't remember. It was. Gotta choose the right date range here. See, now that's all of the, this shows every transaction there by, and I don't like those groups, so I'm gonna take that out of there. See, and there's the invoices, and I just took that grouping out over here. And then I could also group it by grant type if I wanted. So I could say all of grant B, well, your total for grant B, well, let's pull some of these other things out of here because they're I don't think they're going to want the class. And we'll pull one up too. We'll put the important one back there because we do need to know the distribution account. Okay, and so now just using all of their little built-in features here, I could save this report. Okay, save as, and we're going to call this transactions by grant. And now this is run and saved forever. You know, you can just come in here and run this, and it's always going to show you the last 6 months, or it will always show you last month, or you can customize the date range. And we can always see what the expenses were for that. So what that gives us is for every transaction now that we have out here, we can have actually put this transaction so many different places. I can assign this to a grant. I can say that this is associated with a program for kids. I can also say it is a fundraiser. Of course, that's goofy and doesn't make any sense, so we won't choose that one. But the point being that you can do this across all of these. You have all of these different mechanisms for splitting the data out. The people putting the data in need to have some training on using these functions. They need to know that they need to put this data in here. Now, there's a few ways to go about getting them to put the data in there. And there's also, you would want to do some quality control checks on the back end to show where all the times that these fields weren't filled in so that you can make sure that your reporting is accurate. And that's another topic that we can cover at another time.